Hello everyone. Today I want to share with you something on drug abuse. I want us to learn about drug abuse in our society today. My presentation outline goes as follows. 1. I will look at the definition of a drug and drug abuse, various causes of drug abuse, routes of administering drugs, various categories of drug abuse, types of abused drugs, and prevention measures and control of drug abuse. There are various ways that a drug has been defined by scholars, but I just picked two for us to look at, but we are not limited to these. A drug is any substance that, when absorbed into the body of a living organism, alters the normal body functions. You can as well define a drug as a chemical substance that changes the way a person's body works by altering emotions and thoughts. Drug abuse is habitual use of drugs for the purpose of creating pleasurable effects on the brain. You can also explore. Try finding other ways of defining a drug abuse. There are very many. Look into your resources. There are very many. There are various causes of drug abuse. These causes include curiosity and peer pressure, depression, addiction, breakup relationship, failure in exams, and sexual involvement. When you look at the very first cause, that's curiosity and peer pressure, you realize that people deliberately choose to use drugs to fit into the society or into their friends' requirements or peers, just to avoid rejection. That's peer pressure. When you look at curiosity, many people, and when I talk of the people, I mean teens and young adults. Young adults between the age of 19 and 25. These people experiment with drugs and alcohol simply because they are curious and want to know what it feels like to have this substance. Depression raises risks of substance abuse, as chemical intoxicants can be a way to self-medicate by feeling of despair. There's also the aspect of addiction. When someone is addicted to a drug, it's hard for that person to avoid abusing that drug. The tendency of that person abusing that drug is very high due to the aspect of addiction. You can also look at these three other aspects, that's a breakup relationships, failure in exams, and sexual involvement. When there's breakup relationships, this could be family, friends, lovers. People tend to find a solution to suit their feelings, and they engage in drug abuse. When you also look at the failure in exams, when someone is unable to perform or meet the standards that's required, they tend to involve themselves in drug abuse as a way of suiting their feelings. Also, sexual involvement. There are various routes of drug administration, that is oral, injection, snorting, and smoking. Oral administration involves administering the drugs through the mouth. Some of these drugs that are administered through the mouth include hallucinogens, alcohol, and steroids. Injection involves injecting the drug directly into the bloodstream or into the body. And there are various ways of injecting these drugs. One is intrathecal injection. That's directly into the spine. Two is subcutaneous. That's under the skin. Three is intravenous injection. That's injecting into a vein. And finally, intramuscular. That's into a muscle. Snorting, this is snorting through the nose. There are drugs which come in powder form. For example, cocaine. They are snorted directly through the nose. We also have smoking. Under this category, we have marijuana and meth. They are often smoked directly. We also have other ways of administering drugs, but not really common. That's the rectal or buffing. It's not really popular as other routes, but it's also a way of drug administration into the body. There are various categories of drug abuse. One is narcotics. And these are substances that affect the moods or behavior. And they are consumed for non-medicinal purpose, especially when sold illegally. There are various effects that come with these drugs. They include nausea and vomiting, respiratory depression, constipation, drowsiness, inability to concentrate, and many other effects. Examples of narcotics include heroin, morphine, opium, and many others. We also have hallucinogens. They alter the sensory processing in the brain, and they cause perceptual disturbances and changes in thought processing, and this depersonalization. Another type also of category of drug abuse is depressants. These drugs slow the brain and body operations. They include alcohol and Ambien. And the last category, not really last, but according to my target for today, what I wanted us to learn is stimulants. These drugs speed up the message traveling between the body and the brain. And they have various side effects to the body. These side effects include weakness, alertness, confusion, and they are highly addictive and increase energy, reducing appetite, and increasing talkativeness of a person. They also elevate the blood pressure, and they are very addictive, you know. There are other categories of these drugs, but these are the main ones, and I saw it very important to share this with you. But we are not limited with this. Kindly, you can add more and more. Preventing and controlling drugs is very important, since you realize these substances are very harmful, so there's need to prevent and control them. And how are we going to control these drugs? Number one, avoid undue peer pressure. Don't do something to please others, or don't do something because your friends are doing it. Do it because it's important. It's vital to your life. Number two, educating and counseling. There are various people who don't have knowledge about these drugs. They need to be told what are the effects of these drugs. For those ones who are engaged already, they need counseling. They need to come out of this drug abuse thing and live a life without drugs. They also need to seek help from parents and peers. When you are engaged in drug abuse, they need to seek help or before you think of engaging in drugs, there's need to seek help. There's also looking for the danger sign. What are the dangers that accompany this drug abuse? We also need to seek professional and medical help. I was looking at the prevalence of drug abuse among different ages in Kenya today. And I represented my results as per the chart shown. I realized that between the age of 30 and 44 years, there's high consumption of drugs. There's high drug abuse, because this amounts to 41%. I don't know why my chart couldn't indicate the percentage, but this accumulated to 41% of drug abuse, followed by the age bracket between 15 and 29, going up to 35%. Then the age bracket between 44 and 59, amounting 15%. And finally, above 60 years, going up to 9%. And that totals 100%. Thank you for listening to my presentation. Kongoi. Say no to drugs. Stay healthy.